just gotten back from a 7,652 kilometre round trip journey from east of Melbourne to west of Perth. Did it in 4 days to get from Melbourne to Perth that way, and then 5 days coming back. Had a few extra stops. I did it. It's possible. Come inside, I'll show you the details.
From Melbourne to Perth and back in an electric car. I have a Tesla Model 3 2024 blue. Makes a big difference. It really does. The blue helps a lot. It's a sexy colour. Dual range, long range dual motor. Yeah, I drove from here to Perth and back. That's what this video will be about. I'll put some chapters down below so you can jump ahead, jump backwards, whatever you like. I'll go over charging, planning, what went wrong, what went right, wildlife, the actual drive, the actual car. I'll go over the parts of the car that worked and helped for the long drive. So if you're not interested in Tesla, you can skip that chapter because it'll be about the functions of the Tesla. Like and subscribe. Let's get into it first. First chapter of my story, trip planning. Trip planning. You got to do it, especially for electric vehicles, especially for long road trips that are going out back, rural Australia. There's not much out there, especially for electric vehicles at the moment. The charging stops are few and far between, but they are there. It is possible to do it. I did it without any issues. With only a couple issues. Yeah, planning. I did a lot of planning. I probably did too much planning. I knew all the stops. I knew how long we'd likely have to stop and charge for. The speed of the charges. Backup plans if we weren't going to make it to one stop or if we needed to do any detours or whatever. Yeah, I think I was ahead of the ball most of the time, which it helped. It did help. It wasn't necessary most of the time, but it definitely helped. Yeah, for the couple of times where things did go wrong. Packing, taking food, taking water, all that stuff. Pack the car, all that stuff. But planning the actual trip with an electric vehicle, plug share, and a better route planner, they're like gold. You can't do it without them. Plug share, if you don't know, it has information about all the chargers out there. It's crowdsourced information, so if you are using it, make sure you're updating it all, checking in, all that stuff. But anyway, you go on there, you look for a stop where you might need to stop. You can filter it all. So take this one, NRMA, Nullarbor Roadhouse. Yeah, it has all the information you'll need. It has pictures. You can, just in case, that helped me a few times to see exactly where the charger was. So going into it, you're trying to figure out where you're going to drive. Not so much this one, it's right in the middle as you drive in, it's right there. But other ones, it's like behind a Woolworths, for example, and you're like, okay, obviously need to look for this big side of the Woolworths to find the charger because they can be a bit hidden. Anyway, plug share has all the information, has the speed of the chargers, has the type of chargers, so you can do the maths about how fast it's going to charge and how long you'll need to be there, which I did all that. As I said, planned a lot. Has all the information you need. Then down the bottom is the comments and reviews, I guess, where it tells you how people went with the charge, if it worked, if it was that full speed or half speed, whatever kilowatts they were getting. So that's good to know. If the charger might be rated for, say, 120 kilowatts, but if everybody's only getting sort of 50, 60, then you'd do the maths for 50, 60. You wouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to get 120 kilowatts and only be here for 10 minutes. You'd go off the slower speed. That's me anyway. You can go off the high speed. I don't care what you do. Anyway, that's PlugShare. It has other options for the route planning and all that. Actually, we'll look at another stop. Yalata, coming soon. It's in production. Construction. As you see, there's a comment there. Someone said it started construction a couple, however many days, whatever. I don't know when you're watching this. It's under construction. It's being built. So if you were planning a trip, say a month after that date, you can be like, should be ready. But you'd be checking back anyway. Yeah. So it is one thing to be wary of. Make sure the stop is open. and in use. Before you go, then I used a better route planner to plan my routes and to, I guess, confirm the plan that I had made in my head from PlugShare. So yeah, you type in your starting destination, and then I would plug in my estimated destination. Be like I put in Kimber to Border Village, and then the app comes up with a plan about what it thinks you should do. It goes, you should drive here to here, charge for this long, then drive there to there, charge for that long, and then go to your destination. And it'll take this amount of time, and you'll spend this amount of time charging, and nothing will ever go wrong. It's a very handy app, but as you see, I put in those destinations, and it inserted the Yalata stop, which, as we saw, was under construction, so you couldn't stop there if you were doing that today, or when I'm recording. So yeah, you got to be on top of that. You can substitute out places. You can be like, I don't want that charger, let's go to another one. And you can do that, yeah, if it's under construction, or if you don't like that charging brand, company, whatever. If you don't like ChargeFox or EV, or what are the other ones, NRMA. If you just wanted a Tesla ones, you can be like, just give me Tesla chargers. Yeah, that's the app. And then again, has more features or filters. You can change how often you want to stop. You put in the type of car. You can put in your starting charge. If you know you're going to be at 100% at the start of the day, you put in 100%, and then it'll calculate from that. If you know you're only going to be at 50, you can do that, and then it'll be like, charge sooner. So it is pretty smart. And yeah, you can put in all the information. Like across this trip, the efficiency of my car was 154 watt hours per kilometre. So I can change that there, put that in, and then that'll adjust to how far you can get on a single charge, that sort of thing. Very smart. Has some filter options or special options you can subscribe for to get access to. I didn't find that necessary for my trip, but like I did this trip, and it's probably a once a year type thing. I'm not going to go to Perth again, but say if I want to go to Sydney or something, long road trips I'll probably do once a year, maybe, if that. So I'm not going to subscribe to that just for that, but it might be, your own situation. It might be worth it for you. It also has the GPS navigating route planner thing, so you can get in the car, you can press play, whatever, and it'll be like, turn left here, turn left here, turn right here. I didn't use that. I used the Tesla navigation thing on the screen because I wanted it on the screen, and there's only so many different ways you can go across the Nullarbor, across from Melbourne to Perth. Really only one way with a couple of different minor options, but so yeah, I was happy with the Tesla telling me to drive straight for 400 k's and then turn right for the charger. That's essentially all it was. That's it for planning. Is it for planning? Just for the drive in general, driving across the outback, make sure you have water, make sure you have food. Charging options. I had the Tesla UMC charger that can plug into the wall outlet, or a 15 amp outlet. I used that one time and I didn't really need it. It was because I was staying overnight and I only needed a little bit, so I just plugged it in, trickle charging. I also bought a 3-phase tail for that UMC charger. I tried to use it once, it didn't work. Whether it's the tail or whether it was the charger, didn't work. There was plenty of other options, so I went and used the other options. I just tried that because it was free. I took a Type 2 to Type 2 cable for all the ChargeFox ones and RAA ones in South Australia. Used that twice, maybe 3 times. That's it for the charging cables. So I only really used the Type 2 to Type 2. That's the only one I really needed. The others were backup. I'm glad I had them. There's a big stretch across the Nullarbor where if you weren't able to get from the DC chargers, say from Nullarbor Roadhouse to Madura to Balladonia, there are 3 DC chargers that are sort of 300 to 400 k's apart. If you can't get from them to them in a single drive, then you would need a 3-phase tail 3-phase charger, or plug it into a 10 amp or 15 amp socket overnight. But yeah, I had the long range, so that was they were comfortable drives for me. 400 k's on a charger's fine. I reckon I could get 500 k's off a battery. That's it for planning. No, spare tyre. Let's bring that up, the spare tyre. Did I have a spare tyre? No, I didn't have a spare tyre. I probably should have. I didn't need it. Would have liked to it for comfort. Dad wanted me to get one. He came with me, so he would have felt better if we had one. But I didn't have one. I left it too late. I went into a tyre store. They said, nah, Tesla doesn't do them. Or we don't do them for Teslas. They won't fit. Okay. Looked online. Yeah, you can get them through Brow Mac. There's a few options out there for like the Space Savers and whatever for emergencies. Expensive, yes. Would have taken time to be delivered. Yeah, most of them come from overseas. So I didn't get one. Instead, I bought a tyre repair kit. I bought a jack. I bought the puck things, the rubber pucks that you fit for the jack. So yeah, I was fine if we got a puncture to be able to patch up a tyre and then get to the next stop. Day one, I got a puncture. Day one. We got to Clare Valley. No, where we get? We got somewhere and I'm like, oh, one of the tyres is a bit low. I'll pump it up. It was fine. Didn't think more of it. Got to Clare Valley, checked the tyre again. The same tyre is low. So I pumped it up again. So anyway, we got to Port Augusta. It was a Sunday night, so everything's shut. I had to get up in the morning, wait till I think it was 9 a.m. when the tyre shop started opening up. So that was the first delay. And then went into Goodyear tyres in Port Augusta. They were great. It was their first Tesla. They're like, what do we do? I'm like, here's the pucks. And like, what do we do? So I opened up the manual on the screen, go to the how to jack up the car. So they jack it up and they get the wheel off, get the tyre off, and then there's this foam inside and they're like, what is that foam? So then they spent like, say, half an hour, 40 minutes calling around, seeing if anyone else had dealt with these tyres, whether they could just peel the foam back and chuck the puncture repair thing in, or whether it was going to, do some damage to the tyre or whatever. They ended up getting onto someone. Yeah, they said, no, it's fine. Ripped off the foam section that they needed, and then they chucked the thing in, put the tyre back on, and it was good to go. And it made the rest of the trip on that tyre, on that puncture kit. Still on there actually, so yeah, didn't need a new tyre, just a $30 puncture repair. So yeah, anyway, it was all sorted, it was all fine. That was the first and only real issue we had, and it wasn't the Tesla's fault. It wasn't because it was an electric vehicle, it was because some tradie dropped a bolt on the road and the bolt went boom into the tyre. Anyway, that's a bit off topic for planning, wasn't it? What were we on? Spare tyre. Yeah, didn't take a spare tyre. Had the patch kit, didn't use it. Let's go into storage while we're on that. Front trunk, that held all my cables, and I had an extension cable to a 15 amp extension cable because I heard that might be required if you're going to use 15 amp sockets at parking, camping, camper van sites. I didn't use it. Didn't need it. I didn't even use the 15 amp cable, but it was probably a good idea to have it. Anyway, storage, front trunk, charging cables, the jack. They sat in there the whole time. Jack didn't come out. Half the cables didn't come out. It was just the Type 2 to Type 2 one that really come out a couple times. And there's heaps of room in the car. In the boot, I put in the sub trunk, the bit under the normal trunk, put sleeping bags and pillows, which we didn't use. They were there just in case we needed to sleep in the car or something. Then in the normal boot, had all the luggage and whatever, the stuff we'd need for the holiday, the clothes and bags, blah blah blah, and the air pump, and some little tools in the side pocket thingies. But yeah, heaps of room back there. Then on the back seat, had storage. There was only two of us, two grown adult, full-grown people, males. So no one in the back seat. We put our snacks, put our drinks, put anything we'd need for the actual drive in the back seat for ease of access. Plenty of storage, heaps of room. Next chapter, let's call this chapter 3 since we did storage as well at the same time. We'll go to chapter 3, efficiency and range. The official numbers of my drive, about 7,500 kilometres the drive. And over that 7,500 kilometres was mostly 110 kilometres an hour. And my car got or averaged 154 watt hours per kilometre. Let's do some maths. So we got 75 kilowatts, 75,000 watts divided by 154 watt hours per kilometre. So the official range should be 487 kilometres for a full battery. That's less than I thought. I would have been comfortable. Sorry for yelling there. I would have been comfortable driving doing a 500 kilometre day. Yeah, okay, let's go with 487 kilometres. That's probably, I would say that's at 110 k's an hour. Not bad, really. Where do you need to go? Where you need to go over 487 k's away without charging? When can you drive 487 k's without stopping? When I was planning, I was planning off similar sort of numbers. So I was putting like, let's say Drewen to Horsham, which is like 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that, we'll smash it out. Get like 2 hours in, I'm like, I need to go to the toilet. So we stopped at Stall, toilet break, 15-minute charging, and it saves 15 extra minutes of charging at Horsham when you get there. So that's another 2 hours, and I'd say it's harder on a human to go 487 k's without stopping than the car. All right, let's get into the charging situation. This might get a bit boring because I'll go into all the charging stops we did. I'll also put it up on the screen now. The list of all the charges we did, all the information. Like I got pretty detailed with some of it. Yeah, and the different legs we did throughout the trip. So yeah, the Ks we did, the percentages, start and end of each leg, charging costs, how much kilowatts we charged, charging speed for a lot of them. I missed a few. So I'll put that up on screen. You can pause it and have a look at it if you like. If you're not interested, then keep moving on. But yeah, I'll go over each stop quickly. Day one, left home in Drewen, drove to Stall. The initial plan was to go to Horsham, but that's a long bloody drive. So I got a couple hours in. I'm like, oh, I need to go to the toilet soon, so we'll stop at Stall instead. We didn't last as long as the car. Stopped at Stall, 15 minutes. Nice town Stall. Everything. Well, you got toilets there. We stretched our legs. We went to go look for a cafe or something to grab some food, but it was too early on a Sunday morning for things to be open. So we kept going on to Horsham, where we stopped there. The charges are at a not supermarket, shopping mall. So yeah, they had a supermarket there, but also had the Kmart, had Wendy's, where Dad got a hot dog. I went in and got some gaffer tape to fix up my mirror because it was whistling because it had a piece of plastic missing from when the kangaroo hit me the night before. Anyway, stopped at Horsham for a bit of a charge. Yeah, we're there a bit longer for 26 minutes. That was the longest charge of the day, 26 minutes. Then from Horsham we drove to Keith. We stopped at the bakery there in Keith while we charged for a little bit. So yeah, had a bite, a pasty. That was a 25-minute stop. So yeah, second longest stop of the day. And it was also attached to food. So yeah, the longest stops were usually attached to food, other than the other stops were all sort of 10-15 minutes. Keith, yeah, nice bakery there. Good food, would recommend. And yeah, they got toilets, you can walk around, but it's a small town. Oh, actually, an exciting thing at Keith, we saw our first Tesla going into charge. As we were leaving, they were pulling in. Yeah, up until then, there were 0 other cars at the charges. Then we drove to Tailem Bend, where we stopped in there for a toilet break. That's at the race course. I think there was some sort of meet going on that day. They did have a few Teslas sitting there. Only 1 or 2 were charging. But yeah, they had some Tesla representatives there, I assume, to tell people about Teslas. But yeah, second time we saw Teslas at the charges. And I think it was a while before we saw our next one. Tailem Bend, they got a pretty good setup there with that petrol station, if you know it. Hungry Jacks, they got all the food you need, toilets. It's a good stop. But we were only there for 7 minutes. Just a toilet break and back in the car. Tailem Bend, we drove up to Clare in Clare Valley. Stopped there. They at a hotel. They got some superchargers there halfway up the hill. Bit of a pain being on the hill. We didn't actually find toilets there. Assuming they were either up the hill to the hotel, use their toilets, or down the hill and cross the road to public hall or something. So I'm sure there would have been toilets somewhere. We didn't find them, so we didn't go to the toilet. Just watered some plants and pumped the tyres up, because that's when I realised I had a bolt in the tyre, and continued on. From Clare, we then drove to Port Augusta, which was our final stop for day one. We stayed in a hotel there and charged at a RAA ChargeFox charger overnight, 7 kilowatts an hour. Charged up to 99%. And yeah, being the slower charger, it was cheaper, somewhat cheaper than doing a supercharger for a full battery, pretty much full battery. Day one total was 1,128 kilometres, and that took 14 hours. Biggest day of the trip, and continued on in the morning. No, we didn't continue on in the morning. We waited for the tyre places to open up so we could go and get the bolt removed from our tyre. Yep, sorted out, but we left, ended up leaving Port Augusta about 2.5-3 hours later than we would have liked to. We drove to Kimba, which is a good stop to stop at. It's officially, I assume officially, halfway across Australia. They got some big signs painted there you can get a picture at, and they got some big silos there to take a picture of, and up at the petrol station they got some chargers there to charge your car. We're only there at the charger for 12 minutes. They got a good petrol station there with some food, just used the toilet, and continued on to Wood Dinner. We only really stopped for 8 minutes, so that was just a toilet break. Yeah, there's a toilet there was some food options there, but we didn't eat. It was too early. No, it was lunchtime. But I think we wanted to get to Ceduna. Wanted to push on because we were behind in our schedule, so we wanted to push on and get to Ceduna before we ate. Yeah, all these stops have been DC, 120 kilowatts at least, except for the overnight one, which there was other faster chargers available, but we were charging overnight, so we didn't need to. Anyway, from Wood Dinner, we pushed on to Ceduna, where we stopped and had a feed. We went up to a nice little cafe there. They had some good food. I had a bag of chips, actually. Pretty boring. Anyway, stopped there for 37 minutes, had a bit of a walk around, saw the pier, photo of the pier. Not much going on, actually. It was pretty quiet. I guess it's off season. But yeah, the cafe was nice. Just walked up the main street, found the cafe, had some food, and then went back and jumped in the car and continued on. From Ceduna, we then went to Nullarbor Roadhouse, which was our second stop for the night. Free when we were there, and it's free at the moment. I'm assuming they'll start charging eventually. But yeah, they've got the NRMA solar panel, battery, diesel generator backup charger there, it was great. It's rated for 70 kilowatts an hour, and yeah, we were getting most of the time 70 kilowatts. Very good, and it was free. Love that. So we charged up to 80%. Actually charged while we ate, then went out of sleep. We got up early, and as we were packing, I went and plugged the car in again to get it up to 99% before we left. Warmed the battery up, warmed the car up, warmed our seats up, because it was a cold morning. Day 2, we only went 771 kilometres. That took 9 hours. As I said, that was the later leaving morning because of the bolt in the tyre. The goddamn tradies dropping their bolts everywhere. Day 3, from Nullarbor Roadhouse. Headed off from Nullarbor Roadhouse to Madura. It was the longest stretch, the longest leg between charges for the way over there. It was 381 kilometres, which the car did fine. Started at 99%, ended up with 19%, 80% battery, got us 381 kilometres, and that was in the cold. It was like 5-6 degrees when we left, so I think the battery was warm, but I think it did chew up extra battery while we were cold, and had the heater going early on. And again, 110 k's the whole way. Anyway, Madura Oasis Hotel Motel was our longest stop. They have one 22 kilowatt DC charger there. Very convenient, very good. Thank them for having it, and it was a great service. But when we got there was already a Tesla there, and they had an hour left on their charge. Fair enough, fine. Yeah, we went, got some food, hung around. We spoke to the owners for a bit. They were lovely guys. Heading to Perth as well. They'd done the trip a few times, and they headed off an hour later. Then we had 2 hours worth of charging there. Wanted to really get our money's worth at Madura, because the next one at Baladonia was the most expensive one, apparently in Australia, at $2 per kilowatt. More than double the normal supercharger price. Almost triple, which, yeah, it's a lot. It's just a lot compared to what you're normally paying. But it's in the middle of nowhere, you don't have much option, so you got to make money somehow. Anyway, Madura, we were trying to charge up there as much as we can, so we got up to 87%. Continued on, did a top up at Baladonia, just so we could get to Norseman. Tried to put in as little as possible to avoid paying those high fees. So we're there for half an hour, 45 minutes. There's a roadhouse there, lots of flies. The bloody flies, they're ridiculous. We were there 45 minutes and then continued on to Norseman while the sun set and got dark, so we just sat behind a truck going like 100 k's an hour. Saved a bit of battery as well, drafting behind there, going slower. It was a bit safer being behind the truck because they would have cleared off any roadkill, so you can relax a little bit. Got to Norseman, had a feed and charged up at the public DC charger they have there. Yeah, that was convenient. Ate at the pub, had a nice pizza at the pub while the car charged, and then we went to sleep. So day 3, what was it, 11 and a half hours to go 905 kilometers. It's obviously a slower pace there because of the long charge at Madura. Day 4, fourth day, leaving Norseman at just after 6:30, approximately 6:40, and we continued on to Coolgardie. Coolgardie was our first stop. Planned for that stop because on Amazon Prime I saw a documentary on Hotel Coolgardie. I didn't really know what it was about, so I thought might watch that on the drive. I didn't watch it, I was driving. I put it on the phone. Dad watched it, I listened to it, thought it would be the sort of thing you watch it and be like, oh, that'd be cool to go there on the way through. But no, it just sort of made Coolgardie out to be a pretty shit place. Wasn't a good advertisement for Coolgardie. But we stopped there, but we were only there for a total of 12 minutes. Topped up there, went to the toilet. Although they had 2 toilet blocks there that were both out of order. Again, watered some plants while we waited. From Coolgardie, went to Southern Cross, stopped there, 11-minute stop. Toilet, stretch your legs, continue on. They had toilets there. That's about it. Southern Cross to Meriden. At Meriden, we stopped for lunch. Had a nice focaccia, vegetable focaccia. We stopped there for 34 minutes total. Had a good feed. It was a nice little town actually. Probably worth stopping in if you can time it up with food time. Toilets were disgusting. They were doing a lot of construction work there, so I'm not sure if they were actual toilets that were just out of order, but they had some portaloos there. Oh, disgusting. Probably should have found a cafe or something that had toilets and used them instead, because the temporary ones were wrong. From Meriden, we continued on to Perth, and Scarborough Beach was our final destination, so a bit west of Perth, been an extra little bit, and finished up the day there. The drive from Norseman to Scarborough Beach. So day 4 was 7 or 8 hours of travel, including charging, for 731 kilometres. Made it to Perth, totaling 3,536 kilometres of driving over 4 days. 16 charging stops in total, including the overnight ones. As I said, probably didn't need to do that amount of charging stops. Probably could have done less charging stops with longer stops, but longer driving in between. So if you can last 4 to 5 hours in a car without stopping or using the toilet, then you could stop less, but you'd still need to charge for just as long. I don't get it. I'd rather stop, stretch my legs, that sort of thing. Which it made the drive a lot more pleasant, a lot less unpleasant. The cost of the charging over the 4 days and over 3,536 kilometres was $300.25. Not too bad, I reckon. Supercharging isn't super cheap. The faster you charge, the more you pay, basically. Let me find my maths, because if I could close the page of it. So I did some maths. I noted down petrol prices across the drive. They're all around $2 per litre. Ranged between, I think, $1.80 and $2.80, I think, in the middle of nowhere. For petrol, for regular unleaded petrol, and I did the maths on a car that has a 50 litre tank and can do 6 litres per 100 kilometres. And that would have cost $480 in petrol. So, electric vehicle was cheaper. The Tesla was cheaper. I think the Tesla is one of the most efficient ones from what I've seen on YouTube. So it might be different for other ones, but anyway, yes, it was cheaper than an efficient car, and it was a nicer drive, and it was an experience. You know, not super cheap. It's not saving a whole lot of money. You wouldn't do it to save money. Basically, you do it because it's possible, and you can. Now, that's what this video is all about, showing you that it's possible. Shutting up all those naysayers. Your car's gonna blow up and you're gonna need to replace the battery in a year for $20,000. That's it for charging. If you want any more information, just comment down below. Share this with your friends too. If you have someone with an electric car, or someone who doesn't like electric cars and wants to shit on them all the time, share this with them and they can have a read, and I'll show them. Alright, next up, I'm going to talk about the car a little bit, some of the features of the car, the Tesla Model 3 dual motor. So yeah, a couple features of the car that was very good or bad, some of them bad, for the long range driving. First up, autopilot, mostly good, mostly incredible. Loved it, probably helped a lot with fatigue management. Once you put it on, you can just sort of cruise and relax your mind a little bit. You're not sort of having to focus on all the little corners and even just keeping the car straight without the autopilot. It's just micro movements, and when you do that across 10-hour days, it's a lot, and your focus on the road, you can drop that down from, like, say 95% to 80% legally. But anyway, if you need to do something, like if you, I don't know, I charge my watch in the car, I feel comfortable if autopilot's on, looking down, grabbing my watch, doing that, putting it on, not being too worried about the car's going to keep itself on the road. Even if there's a corner, it's perfectly center of the lane. Whereas in a normal car, or without the autopilot on, you know, you'd be grabbing it, your knees holding the steering wheel, extra stress. And yeah, that autopilot gives you that stress relief, and when you multiply it across a long day of driving, yeah, it's incredible. The only issue was the phantom braking, which I know is an issue. I know it happens to everybody. You're just driving along and all of a sudden it brakes, or does the full regen braking, and it just pulls back, and it's like drops from 110 down to 95 in a second, and there's nothing in front of you, but it just freaks out and does that drop in speed, which for most of the time it wouldn't do it. It would just be sort of randomly, every now and then, every couple of hours. It's fine, and driving across the middle of nowhere when there's no other cars around it doesn't matter. It's just a shock. The passenger looks over like, why, what's going on? Is there a kangaroo in front of you or something? It happened on the way back, especially coming in just, I don't know if it makes a difference, but when we got into Victoria and the roads are a bit worse, it started doing it quite a bit. Like, you know, you have a car behind you and cruising along, there's nothing coming on towards you. You're at 110 or 100, and then it's just pulled back and brakes, and like, the car behind you, like, oh. Obviously got a few bugs. Autopilot though, amazing 99% of the time. Probably, yeah, I could have done the trip by myself, I reckon, with autopilot. Without it, would have been a long trip and hard trip, but with autopilot, you can do it fairly cruisily. Auto wipers, not there yet. They come on randomly. They never seem to get the speed right. I seem to always be activating them earlier than they would activate. So yeah, usually your windscreen's covered in water before they would activate by themselves, and then they keep going long after the window's clean. So I generally don't use auto wipers, just do it myself. But then every time you go on autopilot, they get turned on to auto. It'd be nice if you could just turn them off. Auto high beams, I don't trust them fully yet. I've had a couple times where you're driving along, a car comes around the corner, they've got their high beams on, so the auto high beams dip. Then the other car drop their headlights, their high beams off, and then the Tesla, obviously, because there's less light then coming into the car, it realizes that the car's further away, so then my high beams go back on, and then the other car's like, I'm gonna put my high beams back on, and it's just not 100% yet. Most of the time it's pretty good, it's just not perfect. And yeah, I don't quite trust it yet, but I do like them. They are handy when they work. The comfort of the car was great. Obviously, if you're sitting anywhere for to 12 hours a day, you're going to get sick of the seat and get uncomfortable. But it was quite good. You can move around. There's plenty of room in the front seats. Plenty of room to move around, stretch your legs, stretch back. Like even in the passenger seat, I can stretch my legs out straight. I'm 5'10". Yeah, I can stretch my legs out straight without touching the end. If I have my seat back a little bit, heaps of room. Yeah, really comfortable driving. But no, very comfortable. Comfortable car, comfortable drive. Until you got into Victoria and the roads are shocking. The wavy roads and the bouncy and the potholes. You can't stick your head back because it's just jolting you the whole time. Oh, Victoria, fix your shit. Western Australia, South Australia, great roads. Great roads. Guess Victoria's broke at the moment. Can't afford to fix a bloody pothole. Yeah, roads in Victoria, shocking. Premium connectivity. I like premium connectivity. I subscribe to it. I didn't use it that much on the drive, to be honest. I generally start off at the start of the day. Yes, I'd use it because there was reception. But especially days 2, 3, and 4, there was a lot of areas without reception. So you'd put something on music. I use Apple Music, so I'd play something on Apple Music through the premium connectivity, and then you'd lose reception, so you wouldn't be able to continue listening. It'd drop in and out, blah blah blah. So I'd end up just connecting my phone with Bluetooth with stuff that I downloaded, and then I'd leave that on for the rest of the day. I wasn't going to be going back and forth, and I got a little bit of reception, use the premium connectivity. So most of the time I used my phone with downloaded stuff. So yeah, premium connectivity, rate it. Love it when you have reception, but this drive you don't have a lot of reception a lot of the time. Even with Telstra, patchy, unless you're in the town sort of thing. So yeah, not necessarily on this trip. If you can think of a reason why you do need it, chuck it in the comments below. Yeah, while we're on premium connectivity, the boredom of the drive is you got to manage it. As I said, download music, podcasts, movies even. I like putting a movie on my phone on the other side of the car with Dad. He could watch it, I can listen to it. Download a lot of stuff because yeah, they're long drives with not much going on. Like yeah, there's that 90-mile straight bit of road with nothing around. So 90 miles of just straight road, nothing to look at. Except the signs at either end that you get a photo with, and that's it. Yeah, very boring. The Nullarbor, no trees, there's nothing out there. It's boring. So download stuff to keep your mind active. That's all I can say on that. The actual drive, as I say, long, boring, monotonous, but worth it. I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't want to do it again. I'd fly. I'd definitely fly. I've done it once. That's all you need to do. On the way back, we stopped at all the sightseeing sort of things. Got some photos of things. That's enough. But no, it's worth it. It's worth it. Do it once. See what it's like. You get to see the country, just the scale of everything, the size and the vastness, expansiveness of the desert. And just how there's nothing for so long. And there's just a town in the middle of nowhere. People actually live in these places. I don't get that. I couldn't do that. Wildlife. Didn't see as much as I was expecting. We saw a few kangaroos. A lot of dead kangaroos actually. Dead wombats. Saw one emu. Birds. Plenty of birds, but not good birds. Just crows. Crows that were eating the roadkill. I was hoping to see some wedge-tailed eagles, but didn't see any. Only saw some of them in wedge-tail in a hotel. They've got a couple in some cages there, so saw them sitting there. But would have been good to see them in their natural habitat. Yeah, that's about all the animals we saw. Didn't really see any. Saw one blue-tongued lizard maybe. No snakes on the road. Yeah, most of the animals we saw were dead. Maybe because there's more cars going across now. They've moved away from the roads. They've learnt maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That's enough to talk about. I'm not going to go on for 4 days like the road trip did. A long bloody drive. I did it, made it to Perth, and then came back. And I'm here to tell the tales. So yeah, if you have any questions, whatever, I'm sure I didn't say everything needed to be said. Ask in the comments below. I generally try and get back to everybody. Safe travels.